Hello, it's noon on Friday, TGIF. On today's show, I speak to Dr. Abe Wu Sao Pin, a senior lecturer from the Center of Marine Science and Coastal Studies at CEMACS in USM. He talks about Malaysia's seagrass ecosystems. But before that, I'll check in with WAIHON LIEW, an alumni ambassador of Winona State University. He was also an ex-Malaysian athlete, and he'll talk about the RUKUN NEGARA and continuing education. I'm Gerard Ratnam, coming to you live from Wisma Bernama in Kuala Lumpur. You're watching The Brief on Bernama TV. We begin the news in brief with this. Former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has been slapped with 4 counts of power abuse at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court, involving a total of 232.5 million ringgit in gratification. He pleaded not guilty after charges were read out before the Sessions Court Judge Azura Alwi. Judge Azura fixed bail at 2 million ringgit in 2 sureties and ordered Muhyiddin to surrender his passport. She also fixed May 26th for case mention. Meanwhile, PMX Dato Sri Anwar yesterday stressed that he did not interfere in MACC's decisions involving former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. He says MACC's decision in calling the Perikatan National Chairman to have his statement recorded was solely under the Commission's jurisdiction. Now, still with the PM, the government is proposing to introduce a scheme which allows EPF contributors to apply for bank loans by using their retirement funds as collateral. PMX, however, says this facility would only be for those who need money desperately. On another development, all local authorities across the country have been asked to give attention to and address the issues relating to urban town planning to ensure balance in development that meets the needs of city dwellers. And here's a message from the Agriculture and Food Security Minister, Dato Sri Muhammad Sabu. House recipients under the Fishermen Resettlement Project, better known as the PSN, are advised to not sell their houses to gain short-term profit. RUKUN NEGARA and continued education. An ex-national athlete left for the state some time ago and has gone on to become an advocate to promote continuing education. Although he's been in the States for some time, he still is very much rooted to Malaysia. He often talks about how anyone at any age should do some sort of learning. He also helps in the promotion of Malaysia in his own way, and he's currently based in St. Paul, Minnesota, USA. WAIHON LIEW, an alumni ambassador of Winona State University and an ex-national athlete, joins me at this point via Skype. WAIHON, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome back to Malaysia. Selamat kembali, my friend. And I certainly do hope you're having a good time in Malaysia. I also know that you're here to teach. So let's talk about education. What are some ways, or rather about contributing to the nation or in nation building? What are some of the ways Malaysians can contribute to the nation's building or to give back to Malaysia as they go abroad or wherever they're living?
Thank you, Gerard, and selamat tengah hari to all fellow Malaysians. As fellow Malaysians, all my life in my heart, I believe that when you are overseas, you are still able to contribute back to your nation by sharing your ideas, by connecting with your high school in Malaysia or with communities in Malaysia through virtual, through Zoom, to share and to do workshops. That's currently what I'm doing over the last few years, even though I am basically based in St. Paul, Minnesota.
It's amazing that you've come back now. Give us one specific program that you're currently working on between your alma mater, Winona State University, and Malaysia. I think you're trying to do a tie-up between the US and Malaysia. What are you doing?
Yeah, thank you, Gerard. One of the very pilot project that is already happening right now is continuing education for educators in Malaysia. Right now, as you can see, I'm at Sri Akmal Schools in Bandar Baru, Klang, my regular client in Malaysia. So Winona State is my alma mater that have helped me, nurture me to become a better human being. And we just started this program today yesterday, to allow continuing education for teachers in the topic of wellness for educators and how to be effective teachers. So this is going to be an ongoing training program to be conducted several times a year. I'll bring in some fellow Malaysians who are based in different countries to give back to the country, to sharing and nurturing our leaders who are in the school today.
Right. So one important question I'd like to move into now: how do you tie in your Malaysian values? You are very Malaysian, even though you've been living in the United States for more than 20 years. You speak Bahasa Melayu fluently. You speak Cantonese, Mandarin, and also English. Now, how do you tie in your Malaysian values, your identity, with the education programs you're doing since you're based in America?
Thank you so much. It's a very important question. I always have this identity issue when I was overseas for the very first time. So am I a Malaysian just because of my blue IC or because of my skin color? But I look back, what really connects me well with my school teachers of different races is the value from the RUKUN NEGARA. So when I'm overseas, when people ask me, who am I always say that I'm a Malaysian. And what is a Malaysian? I will explain to them the 5 principles of the RUKUN NEGARA, how I am trying my level best to live my life based on the RUKUN NEGARA so that I can bring good image for Malaysia when I'm overseas and in the classroom as well.
Now, if I were to test you and say, what you just said, can you say it in Bahasa Melayu now that you've been in America for 20 years? Can you still say what you just said in Bahasa Melayu?
Oh, boleh. Number 1, kepercayaan kepada Tuhan, kesetiaan kepada Raja.
That's the RUKUN NEGARA. What you just said to me, can you please explain it in Bahasa Melayu?
Oh ya, bila saya berada di luar negara saya juga ada beberapa keliruan tentang identiti saya kerana bagaimana saya hendak memperkenalkan diri kepada warga Amerika di sana. Adakah saya harus menggunakan IC biru saya ataupun memperkenalkan saya sebagai seorang warga Cina Malaysia? Tidak, itu tidak penting. Yang paling penting saya seorang warga Malaysia, dan bila mereka tanya apakah itu warga Malaysia, warga Malaysia adalah mereka yang memegang prinsip RUKUN NEGARA bukan saja secara menghafal, tetapi menghayati dan menghidupkan nilai-nilai murni itu di dalam classroom saya di Amerika dan juga di Malaysia.
Right. And what's your message to all Malaysians who are going abroad and coming back, and or most of us go abroad and come back and try to sound like we are from the United States or from the UK? What would be your message to them? And not that it's wrong, but at a certain point we have to be proud of being Malaysians and the way we speak. Some of us are even shy of using la when we speak, but the la has already been inducted in dictionaries around the world. Your message, very quickly, I've got 1 minute left.
I believe that there's something funny about Malaysia that we can share. It's not something that is very negative. That is our nature to bring humor to the world as long as people understand what we are saying lah. As long as we are using some of the local colloquial, people know that we are a kind person. They don't care the grammar. Of course, grammar is important. Okay, I'm a teacher, don't get me wrong. But to interject some humor in our conversation is so important.
Right. With that, thank you very much. WAIHON LIEW, Alumni Ambassador of Winona State University, an ex-Malaysian athlete now in Kuala Lumpur, trying to help out sort some programs between America and Malaysia. I'm off to a break. When I come back, I speak to Dr. Abe Wu Sao Pin on Malaysia's seagrass ecosystems. This comes on right after the break, right here on The Brief. Stay with me.
Isu ini kalau tidak lakukan apa-apa yang serius, dia akan berulang. Banjir ini bukan kali pertama, dia bertahun-tahun. Menjadi sini kadang setahun 2 kali. Oleh itu kita putuskan projek yang mahal 600 juta ringgit atau lebih untuk tempatan banjir akan disegerakan. Nanti kita lulus dan disegerakan. Tu hari saya tangguh sebentar kerana saya tidak mahu peruntukan untuk bantu rakyat ini ada ketirisan. ada kecurian. Jadi kita perlu proses tender walaupun disegerakan. Semua projek yang telah diluluskan tempatan banjir termasuk di Johor, itu yang diluluskan harus semuanya beroperasi mulai bulan Jun tahun.
Welcome back. We now move on to the business brief. The ringgit opened lower versus the US dollar this morning. Today, $1 is 4 ringgit and 52 cents. So once again, I repeat that $1 is 4 ringgit and 52 cents. Moving on to the stock market, Bursa Malaysia opened lower today, taking its cue from a Wall Street slide overnight on concerns of bigger rate hikes and weakness in the regional markets. At 9:05 a.m., the benchmark FBM KLCI declined by 6.85 points to 1,442.68 from yesterday's close of 1,449.53. Now, the Prime Minister, Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim, has given assurance that the government can achieve the target of reducing the country's fiscal deficit to 5% of the gross domestic product in 2023 and to 3.2% in 2025. Now, Anwar says there is nothing to dispute regarding the fiscal deficit reduction target given current developments following the tabling of the revised budget of 2023. Now, Malaysia is on the right track to transition its energy towards renewable energy, especially in the power sector, says the Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Ahmad. He adds that according to the World Economic Forum's latest Energy Transition Index, Malaysia ranked a respectable 39th with system performance and transition readiness at 69% and 60% respectively. And US President Joe Biden on Thursday unveiled plans for government spending and higher taxes on the wealthy, choosing the swing state of Pennsylvania to reveal his playbook for an expected 2024 re-election bid. Now, World Seagrass Day is celebrated annually on the 1st of March to raise awareness about seagrass and its important functions in the marine system. Clearly, we've missed it or missed doing that here on the 1st of March, hence why we're doing it today. Now, seagrass is a flowering marine plant present along coastlines worldwide, acting as a crucial source of food for marine life and helping stabilize water quality. Basically, if we have to talk about it on TV, it's probably is already in a state of being threatened. I'm now joined by Dr. Abe Wu Sao Pin, a senior lecturer at the Center for Marine and Coastal Studies at CEMACS in USM Pulau Pinang. Dr. Abe, thank you very much for taking time off to be with us. What is the significance of seagrass ecosystems in coastal ecosystems and marine life? Give us a bit of a 411 or an explanation on this. Abe?
Thank you very much for the introduction. I think seagrass is not popularly known because they're usually in submerged area. But then again, seagrass ecosystem plays a very important role in the ecology. Which one of the most important part is that it is a nursery ground for a lot of different type of fishes and a lot of other seafood materials. So they really contain a lot of nutrients as well as hiding place for small fishes to grow. That's number one. Number two, one of the most important now that we are talking about combating climate change. So seagrass is also one of the area that is very important that stores a lot of blue carbon. Well, that is where we retain all our CO2s, and that is where we're gonna maintain the ecosystem so that no CO2 is going to go out and not affect climate change more seriously.
Right.
So thirdly, then again, as you have said,
I need to cut in here. Can I cut in here to just ask, like, okay, there's coral bleaching. They're talking about coral bleaching around the world. Does this somehow affect seagrass, especially in our neck of the woods or where we are?
I think coral bleaching ties in very near to rise of temperature, but in the sense of seagrass, that is not their main threat. But I think coastal development, as well as the inputs of human kind of activities in the coastal area, that is the biggest threat. So as we grow, as we develop in our coastal area, more sediment is coming into the water, and that pollutes the water and then makes it more difficult for seagrass to thrive. So that is maybe the most important factor that is threatening the seagrass ecosystem.
Right. I guess the next question would be, how much of our seagrass ecosystems have been mapped and documented? I guess what's important now to take stock of what we have, and mapping and documentation is a big part of it. How much have we done, or what information can you give us about this?
I think Malaysia is very blessed with a very actually correct area that the seagrass area can sort of thrive. But throughout 30 to 40 years of research by different institutions, we have quite mapped out some of the areas, some of the major areas. But I think we as researchers continue to look at different places, we continue to find new areas that that seagrass can actually live. And then I don't think we have now a complete of the map of all areas. So I think there are a bit more effort that needs to be done to really know how much we have. We must know how much we have. Only then we are able to see how do we manage them and how do we protect them carefully.
So once we know how much we have, of course we have to take these findings and send it to someone in government to say, hey, we need to do something about this. Now, we'll get to that as to who do we go to. But when you get these findings, what would be the significance of these findings, or the findings that you have at this point?
I think the most important also at this time, mapping it is not enough, I think. We have to put a little more effort and a little bit more research on looking at what exactly that lives cohabitantly with the seagrass. As I said just now, it is a very good nursery ground, and we also need to understand the dynamism between the seagrass and the living things living around it, so that those are the resources then will be used as our fisheries resources. So by looking at the interaction between the animals, the seagrass, as well as how human impacts the area, I think these are the sort of information that is most important, not just to stakeholders, but as well as the government, as well as management bodies, to look at how then we make sure that all the stakeholders are taken care of, and also at the same time protect the ecosystem.
Right. So, I'm just going to digress from the questions here and think about awareness campaigns that we can run. So, there's a big fishing community in Malaysia. We're not talking about fishing for produce or for food, but people who are avid fishermen. They go out with their friends, they fish and all. Do you guys speak to these people about it and tell them, just to get everyone aware about this?
I think the awareness is still, we are still working on, I think in general in Malaysia, the awareness about the marine environment, the importance of how protecting the marine environment has increased significantly towards these 10 years. But I think we need to continue to reach out to more communities, not just schools, not just at university, but to really reach out on our communities, our B40 communities, our communities that is living in coastal areas. Now, because they are the one that is most impacted, and they are the ones also, we call them the guardians, because they live nearest to where the environment is. So I think by reaching out to more people, especially the communities living by the coastal area, is what we are starting to do, and that's what we also try to also change their mindset on how they look at resources, how do them protecting actually environment actually helps them to gain more services, gain more economic benefits from the ecosystem itself. Yes, we are doing it. I think more efforts should be done by different parties.
Right. Now, is it true, this one I want to move through very quickly. Is it true that the estimate of seagrass loss is an underestimate in Malaysia, where we're not reporting the right numbers?
As your first question, second question was, I think, without knowing exactly what we have, probably we will really underestimate what's the damage, are the loss. So I think we surely have underestimated it, because there are some areas that we do not know even seagrass existed. Before even they are found, they are already been destroyed. So critically, we really need to look at it carefully. Right. Then only we can estimate what is correct and what is wrong. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Dr. Abid, just one more question. We've got 1 minute left. What is your message to Malaysia in conjunction with this day of observation for seagrass ecosystems, which happened on the 1st of March?
I think most important for everybody, I think most important for everybody is to, try to look at a marine environment as an important marine environment, try to look at it, try to experience it, learn from it, and learn from different kinds of media. Go to the beach, experience it. Experiential learning is very important. And by doing so, we will appreciate our nature. By then, we will start gain interest in it and start protecting what is important to us. I think that is also one of the most important message I want to give out.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Abe Wu Sao Pin, Senior Lecturer at the Center for Marine and Coastal Studies at CEMACS in USM, Pulau Pinang. I'm off to a quick break. When I come back, I'll take you around the globe on what's happening the world over. The International is up next, right here on The Brief. Stay with me.
Di mana ada kemahuan, di situ ada jalan. Mulakan dengan langkah yang kecil untuk menggapai impian yang besar. Seperti jembatan yang menjadi penghubung untuk yang terpisah. Memberi kebaikan bukan hanya untuk satu, tetapi semua. Setiap daripada kita boleh mendatangkan perbezaan. Walaupun ia sekecil-kecil tindakan, namun ia tetap mampu membawa perubahan. Jadilah insan yang membawa perubahan untuk memberi manfaat kepada diri dan masyarakat.
This former Goldman Sachs banker Roger Ng was sentenced to 10 years in prison on Thursday after he was convicted of helping loot billions of dollars from Malaysia's 1MDB sovereign wealth fund. A jury in Brooklyn Federal Court last April found Ng, Goldman's former head of investment banking in Malaysia, guilty of helping his former boss Tim Leisner embezzle money from the fund, launder the proceeds and bribe the government officials to win business. In Germany, several people have been killed or seriously injured in a shooting at a Jehovah's Witness church in the northern German city of Hamburg, with the motive for the attacker unclear. The Bild newspaper reported that 7 people were dead and 8 others injured in the shooting. Russia fired a huge wave of missiles across Ukraine as people slept, knocking out power in an attack, Kiev said included 6 Kinzhal hypersonic cruise missiles, one of Moscow's most valuable weapons. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says another attempt by a terrorist state to wage war against civilized society has resulted in temporary blackouts of electricity, heat and water in some of the country's regions and cities. Specialized teams were working to restore the operation of energy facilities. Turning to North Korea, state-run television KRT on Friday released photographs of the country's leader Kim Jong-un's watching a fire assault drill before he ordered the military to intensify drills of a real war. Pyongyang fired a short-range ballistic missile off its west coast on Thursday, South Korea's military said, adding that it was analyzing possibilities that the North may have launched multiple missiles simultaneously from the same area. Photographs released by KRT showed at least 6 missiles being fired at the same time. Kim was accompanied by his younger daughter, who has appeared recently in a series of major events. Now, rows of water storage tanks surround the reactors of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, waiting to release their contents into the sea possibly as early as this spring, much to the ire of fishermen who worry it could affect the reputation of their industry. Japan's TEPCO currently treats the water with the Advanced Liquid Processing System, a multi-nuclide removal system to remove various radioactive materials from contaminated water. An Indonesian court sentenced a soccer match official to 1.5 years in prison yesterday after finding him guilty of negligence over one of the world's deadliest stadium stampedes. The October 2022 match in Malang, East Java, ended in chaos, with 135 spectators killed, many crushed as they fled for exits after police fired tear gas into the crowd. And before we end, here's what's trending on the mighty Bluebird, better known as Twitter. Some people don't even think it's Twitter anymore. Hashtag Muhyiddin is trending as he claimed trial to 4 counts of abuse of power in relation to the Jana Wibawa program to obtain 232.5 million for his political party Bersatu. Of course, more reports are going to be coming your way. Stay with us on Bernama TV for that. That's all we have for now. Catch the nation this week with me at 3 p.m. I'll be speaking to a fantastic panel yet again. I'm Gerard Ratnam. This has been The Brief on Bernama TV. Thanks for watching.